Now this movement right here is actually very likely to happen again. It would get us back to the equilibrium, back to this point right here. And I like that. And it is the 5 minute this time. Are they thinking about an end of day blast off from the inverse head and shoulders? That's the question. Whereas it does look very much like phase A, but it's struggling with that idea. And I know that a lot of people are wanting the phase A to happen because that's what phase A would have been if it did happen. I see that there is definitely some trouble with making that phase A. So, what's kind of crazy is that the 261 area versus the 188 area, we're coming up off of the 261s. There ain't any 188s lower than that point. And, it really makes me think that the journey back up to the 188s could be generally easy, generally swift, and the breakout is happening. Like the inverse head and shoulders. Now, it's possible that we try and test the neckline as we continue as well. There's not much time that remains. Most attractive thing is to get up to the 188s, though. And obviously my circle. That's a time that's after hours, though, but whatever. The last good, clear move of the day. Basically pushing into the chop from before, stretching to the 188s. And achieving my circle. This is a 100-point move when we get up to my final target and achieve that pattern that I drew in there. Of course, when we get past that point though, like it's not even the beginning of what the value could be to get through this entire shape. It's a very, very, very strong setup. If it is anything like Friday, I have tons of reasons for this thing to continue the Wyckoff despite the difficulty. And what's funny is how they just overlap most of where the difficult part was. And just be like, you didn't catch the bottom? It's like, oh, quit here at 1 o'clock or whatever. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like I wasn't in control of how clear the 261 would be, but I did draw a circle and go absolutely into the detail of why it would make sense for it to reverse and where it could make sense to reverse to, and how it could come up to the 188-200, how we could break out of the inverse head and shoulders, how it didn't want to make a Wyckoff, and how we were on the brink of that breakout in the rest of the journey there. This could start as a small thing, like I mentioned on the past 5 small things. It didn't end up into a long-term run, but this one could. What if it's the 4th one from now? What if it's the 7th one from now? What if it's the 12th one from now? Are you going to quit on the 8th? At the end of the day, unless we have reason to believe it's going to do something else, and it's part of a different plan, and it's not part of this plan, and we have reasons for it, then we can change what we're doing. But until then, we've actually had no reason. Like, let's say if no trades were ever made, and this was the first time that anyone could take a trade, would they be interested in this spot for this pattern? Would they be interested in the red-yellow line break being able to get us back to the B points? Would we be interested in being able to get to the middle of the range? Would we be interested in the daily downtrend? I wanted to simplify this, at the end of the day here, because it came down to something that could be on this chart. It wasn't from a million days ago. It wasn't from another range. That it was as simple as simply proving to the market that you could endure today. The answer for the low would be on today's movements. That it would be in the movements. That it would be calculatable. We've just made the whole 100 points back up into the range on command, basically, almost basically touching the white circle and the blue line. I expect that's all most likely going to hit in this overnight session and on Sunday and stuff. But yeah, we'll see what it does. See if there's any kind of event on the weekend. Hopefully it's not bad, but hopefully that we get out of this range on next week too. That'd be nice. But hopefully you guys have a wonderful weekend.